Hi, it's Matthew Plummer, CEO here at MVP Realty Group in Olympia, Washington. Perhaps you've heard about mortgage forbearance. Some people are really concerned about these homes going into foreclosure and what it can mean for our real estate market and our home values and all of that. So I wanted to share some information with you. We're constantly tracking information about this. And so here's the latest from Black Knight Incorporated. They are a well-respected provider of data and analytics to the mortgage companies. So their report shows that 6.48 million households entered into a forbearance plan as a result of COVID-19 hardships. Now, let's look at those households. Of that 6.48 million, 2.54 million, they're current. So they got caught up and they really didn't even need, it seems, that forbearance program in the first place. So they're current on their payments. 625,000 of the total group, about 9%, in that time they paid off their mortgage. They don't owe the mortgage company anything anymore. So between them and the people that are all current, well, that's about half the group, original group at least. 434,000, 7%, they've negotiated a repayment plan, so they exited the program, and now they're back to making their normal mortgage payments, and in addition to that, a catch-up payment in order to make good on the forborne payments that they had. 2.25 million, about 35%, they've extended their original forbearance plan. About 500,000 are still in their original forbearance plan. And then 116,000, just 2% of the original group, they've left the program, and unfortunately, they're still behind. So that shows that of the 3.72 million homeowners who've left the program, only 2%, 116,000, when they exited, they were still behind on their payments. But there's still 2.77 million borrowers in the forbearance program. No one really knows for sure if those are going to go to foreclosure. But we track all this information, and there's lots of experts out there who do, and all of the experts are saying they're not really concerned about foreclosures from this group of forbearance borrowers because, well, for three reasons. One is almost 30% of the borrowers in the forbearance program, they're still current on their mortgage payments. So even though they're in the program, they're still making their payment, and they know that they want to continue making their payment because they don't want to find themselves in a position of being behind at a later date. So that's really good news. We're really only dealing with 70% of those total people that are still in the program that are really actually using the forbearance option. Number two, banks really don't want to bring foreclosures to the market. They don't want those on their books. And so they really just don't want to repeat what happened in the 2000s during the crash. So they're more likely to work with these borrowers when the time comes to figure something out, maybe a loan modification, extend their loan, put them right back to where their payment was in the first place. And then finally, the main reason, and at least in my opinion, this is the best reason, people have equity, right? We have not had a downturn in values, and people have maintained a good amount of equity in their homes. That gives them options, and the biggest option is if they can't find themselves out of this hole that may have been dug for them in this forbearance plan, well, then they can always sell their home, and they'll likely they'll pay back all those forborne payments, and in addition to that, probably pocket tens of thousands of dollars in equity, start fresh, right? So, and this is why we constantly counsel our clients, get to a position of at least 20% equity as quickly as you possibly can, because when you have equity, you have options. So, will there be foreclosures this year? Absolutely. I can guarantee that, because every single year in our country we have hundreds of thousands of foreclosures. In fact, again, just to put it into perspective, let's break down the foreclosures the 3 years prior to the pandemic, just to kind of, again, put it into perspective. In 2017, we had 314,220 foreclosures in the U.S. In 18, we had 279,040 foreclosures, and in 19, we had 277,520. So we only have the first three quarters of data for 2020 so far, but those numbers are looking incredibly low at 114,780 foreclosures in 2020. Okay, so that was a low year, but let's just think about it. If 10% of those who are currently in forbearance go to foreclosure, that's 275,000 foreclosures that would be added to the market in 2021. That would be an average year of foreclosures. Okay, so what happens if it ends up being more than 10%? Well, I've been telling you for quite some time, we need inventory. And I certainly don't wish this on anybody, but if there are foreclosures and they enter the market, it would actually be really great to have more options for buyers. In fact, all of the experts who are tracking this market say we could absolutely handle the foreclosures. The market's going to absorb any foreclosures that come our way. Remember, and we oftentimes will send many of our current clients stats on a weekly basis to show them what's happening in our local market here in Thurston County. But at last count, we only had like 125 homes available for sale in the entire county. Normal, like a balanced market, which we haven't seen for a long, long time, 1,200 or 1,400 homes. So could we stand to have a few hundred foreclosures come to market in our area? Absolutely, and I have a feeling that buyers would welcome them as options. So the bottom line, yes, there's going to be more foreclosures entering the market later this year, especially compared to the record low numbers we had last year. However, this market can absolutely handle it. It can absolutely absorb it, and it'll likely be welcomed by the many, many dozens and dozens of buyers who are ready to buy a house right now. If you have any questions, we can do anything for you. If you really want to know what's exactly happening with your market, in your neighborhood, with your home, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm Matthew Plummer, CEO here at MVP Realty Group. God bless you and your family.